Hello and welcome back to another edition of the Oner First Thoughts. I'm Austin Archer. This is the version of our show that is spoiler-free, where we just give general, quick, spoiler-free thoughts on a film. This week we are talking about Supergirl, the second film in the new James Gunn-led DCU, directed by Craig Gillespie and written by Anna Nogueira, starring Millie Alcock as Supergirl, or Kara Zor-El. The word for the day is expectations. Kramer and I talk a lot on the channel about expectations, about having how your expectations can shape a film. I'm seeing the response to this movie, and I feel like everything that I'm seeing so far online comes down to expectations. I went into this movie absolutely exhausted. I've been working overnights on this film I'm working on, and we're working from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. My brain is mush. I didn't know if I was going to be able to stay awake through the film. All of the negative reviews that I've been seeing online had me feeling like, oh, this is going to be disappointing. I was ready to be disappointed by this movie, and that doesn't mean that I'm all out on the DCU. I was ready to be like, okay, they're going to have a little misstep in the second film. That's fine. Superman last year, James Gunn's Superman, was one of my favorite films of 2025. I'm on record saying that I think it's the best Superman movie ever made. I think it's one of the best superhero films ever made. So I definitely was looking forward to Supergirl, and especially the way they set up Kara at the end of Superman and the way that they sort of juxtaposed her in the marketing, with Superman, his marketing being look up and her marketing being look out. I was really looking forward to the film, so I had high expectations. Then I saw everybody say, oh, this movie's really underwhelming and really disappointing, so my expectations came all the way down. I sat down in the theater like, oh geez, I hope I'm able to even lock in and enjoy this movie at all. I'm happy to report that I am the dissenting opinion. I probably disagree with Kramer on this. I know I disagree with a lot of critics on the internet when I tell you I didn't just like Supergirl, I loved Supergirl. I was shocked. I mean, I think it's because of the expectation, right? Sat down in the theater like, oh man, I hope this doesn't totally suck. I hope this doesn't suck so much that it makes me skeptical about all of the movies that are going to come after it. But every single choice that was made in this, not every single one, but each successive, movement of the story, I just kept going yes, that's right. Yeah, there were so many moments in here that I got chills, that made my heart soar. I really like the way that the Kara character juxtaposes to the way that they've set up Kal-El and Clark in the Superman movie. This movie is paced really well. It moves at a brisk, entertaining clip. It's under 2 hours, which for superhero movies these days is unheard of. It's an hour and 45 minutes long. I like how simple and contained the story is, and how simple and tried and true the story format is. This is a space western in the purest sense. It's just following a story format of a million westerns we've seen before. A lot of people compare it to the movie True Grit because it has a lot in common with that plot-wise. But, that plot structure was also borrowed for the graphic novel that this is most closely based on, or the comic that this is most closely based on, Woman of Tomorrow. But that also brings us back to the expectations. A lot of people that I'm seeing who don't like this movie were comparing it directly to their experience of reading Woman of Tomorrow. I never read Woman of Tomorrow, so I wasn't sitting in the theater actively comparing it to the color palette of a comic that exists in my brain that I really like, or comparing it to the exact plot structure of that comic. And that helped me just sit back and enjoy what Craig Gillespie was delivering me without having to compare it to anything else. But also, I will say, I think this is kind of weird that how many people I'm seeing going, they made a lot of changes from the comic that I didn't really like, but I still enjoyed the movie, or they made too many changes and that's why I didn't like it. Typically with comic book movies, if they're going to be based on one of the comics in that character's entire comic book lore and entire comic canon, they're not going to be a frame-for-frame recreation the way that Zack Snyder's Watchmen was. Typically, with comic book movies, if they say, I'm referencing, Batman Year One by Frank Miller, or I'm referencing The Killing Joke, that doesn't mean that they're doing a recreation of Batman Year One or a recreation of The Killing Joke. It means that they're looking at at those particular comic issues and graphic novels for tone and color and style. So, Matt Reeves, the Batman, and a lot of what we see in Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy, they're borrowing from these comics, but they're not doing shot for shot recreations the way that Zack Snyder did with like 300 and Watchmen. And that's more common in comic book movies. So even though James Gunn and Craig Gillespie have talked a lot about Woman of Tomorrow in the process of making Supergirl, they never said they were going to do a faithful shot for shot adaptation of Woman of Tomorrow. It was more using Woman of Tomorrow as the jumping off point for the inspiration of where they want to go character wise with Kara Zor-El and how, the kind of tone that they want to approach. So I'm a little surprised that so many people expected this to be a faithful shot for shot, frame for frame adaptation when that is so rarely the case with comic book movies. Luckily, I didn't have that expectation in my head. I was able to just sit and take in what the movie was giving me. It's not that this movie's perfect. I definitely have criticisms for it, and I will get into more of those in detail with Kramer on the full length episode of the show. But I just feel like there's so much more here to enjoy than not. I like that this movie has its own identity. I like that it's not just like every other superhero movie that we see. I like that the story is smaller. A lot of people are using the word underwhelming, I think, because the scope of this film doesn't feel as big as we're used to with some big superhero names. Like, the main villains aren't as much of a real threat to Supergirl as maybe they could be. The stakes of the story are not, it's not like the fate of the universe hangs in the balance, but I don't think it always needs to be that, right? I think this movie is just about Kara helping one person and finding herself in the process. It's just about Kara discovering her identity as a hero and how she wants to be and how she's different from Clark and how that's okay and how she and Clark's differences can complement each other and work in tandem with each other and, what her particular code's going to be. I've seen a lot talked about how these villains weren't fleshed out enough, about how they're, we want more of their backstory. Sometimes comic book movies are all about the villain. That's, Infinity War, the Joker, what have you. Sometimes they're about both the villain and the hero. Sometimes it's more just about the hero and the villain's just there because you need a villain, you need an antagonist. But we know about as much about these villains in this movie as we know about Immortan Joe and his war boys in Mad Max Fury Road. And that's all we need to know. It's more about the journey that Kara's on, for in my opinion. And I really like the journey that she goes on in this movie. I like how personal it is. I like how emotional it is. I think the movie feels like it wants to be edgier than it is. I feel like it wants to be rated R, but I get why they didn't go that route because at the end of the day, Kara Zor-El is still a part of the Supergirl package. And even though she's the more edgy version of Superman, she's still got that wholesomeness that we've come to expect from the Superman universe. So I get why they didn't go full Deadpool with this, but it did feel at times like maybe the movie wanted to push the envelope of the edginess, but I appreciated that. I liked that they did that. I think a rated R cut of this would have been really cool, but I also get why they didn't do it. I really enjoyed this movie so much. I'm excited to hear Kramer's thoughts. I'm sure he didn't like it as much as I did, but we'll see. We'll see. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to my co-host. Take it away, Kramer.
Thanks, Austin. Supergirl. I'm very sorry, everybody. This movie was not great. I just don't even want to sugarcoat it. This was not a good movie. I did not love it. It was extremely clunky. There was so much that like nothing flowed organically. Nothing was really working story-wise. There was a lot that was wrong with this movie. I'm not going to get into any spoilers. I really wanted this movie to work. Now, in my prediction, which me and Austin, I'm sure we'll get into, I said that this wouldn't derail the DCU, that it would be fine and it would be consistent with what Superman was, and it would kind of keep things going in the right direction. And it's not going to derail it, but man, this is getting close. It's not making that much money at the box office. And here's the thing. I I actually really liked Millie Alcock. I really liked how she played the character. I thought her character was interesting. I liked her backstory, and I liked her motivations. It's just a lot of it was not paid off in a satisfying way. A lot was going on that, the plot was kind of convenient, and it was also just really poorly written and poorly directed. Like, some of the action sequences were fun. Some of them, were fun to watch, and I was trying to find entertainment in that, but also some of them were not that great either. And there's a lot online about the end of this movie that you can go look up, but I found it very distracting. I didn't feel like it fit very well as far as the song that they used. It was a very interesting, very interesting movie, and it really wasn't very good. And this is a big problem. A lot of people might not care about this, which is fine. That's totally fine. For me, Kara was a very passive protagonist. And what do I mean by that? So Michael Arndt has a great video online. It's like an hour or so long. He talks about writing Toy Story 3. And in one section, he talks about why it's important not to have a passive protagonist. So passive protagonist is usually one that has things happen to them. They're not making things happen. And Supergirl, that's kind of what's happening. Things are happening to her. She's not really making them happen. And just luckily things work out. Like, there's me and Austin will get into it, but there's a scene in this movie where it's like, well, thank goodness that happened. Because if it didn't, the plot wouldn't have moved forward. Like, what? It's just like, thank goodness. And that was really frustrating for me. And I can get over that. It's okay if other things are making up for it, but nothing's really making up for it here. This was just not a great movie. And I really wanted this to be good, or at least decent, so that it was like, yeah, it was fine, go see it in the theater. But I kind of can't really recommend this movie. It was not great. And there are some people that really like it. It's getting some favorable reviews from fans, which is great. If you had a good time with it, that's awesome. But I just could not get into this movie, and the core of it was the writing and the directing. Some of the acting was good. Like I said, I really liked Millie Alcock. She was really good. Lobo was fun. He doesn't really have much of a thematic purpose. He's there though, and Jason Momoa is kind of the one that we all knew should have been playing that a while ago. So he was fun, but he doesn't. He's kind of an interesting. I'll get into that with Austin, but yeah, I think you can skip this one. Unfortunately, if you love Supergirl, for sure go see it. But this is one that you could wait. I wouldn't really recommend it. It'll be interesting to see where the DCU goes next with Supergirl. I think if she's in the other movies, I'm sure she can contribute. Again, I do like her character, and I do like the actress that's playing her. But it will be interesting to see what they do now. I think a lot rests on Clayface. That's going to be coming out. It was a much cheaper film to make. We'll see where it goes and how it does. But lot of problems with this one. Let us know what you thought about this movie, though. What did you like about it? What did you not like about it? Tell us, maybe your thoughts on this film, because other people, like I said, have been liking this movie. So tell us your thoughts right in the comments below. Let us know what you think, and we will see you on the next one.